Hello, and welcome to another edition of Musket Matters. This video is going to be another in our series of videos that are geared towards new shooters in the North-South Skirmish Association. So, for those of you who don't know, in NSSA competition, there's basically two different kinds of competition with small arms. We have individual competitions where you will shoot at paper bullseye targets for score. And this is done with regards to different kinds of firearms. So you'll have revolver or carbine or musket or smoothbore or single shot pistol or repeater. And at some skirmishes, depending on how big they are, they may break those down in further based on skill level. So you'll have expert and sharpshooter, marksman, striker. So that's individual competitions for paper targets for score. And then you'll have team competitions where we shoot at breakable targets for score. And there are a variety of different kinds of breakable targets that you'll encounter. Sometimes they'll shoot at things like eggs or charcoal briquettes. Anything that's breakable is pretty much fair game. But these are some of the common targets that you're going to find. And this video is made so that new shooters can understand how you're supposed to wire these up before you get to a skirmish, and you got to learn it trial by fire. So there's basically two different kinds of target and team competition. You'll start off always with a sheet of cardboard that's covered with a certain number of clay pigeons depending on the size of the team. So these clay pigeons will be hung on a big sheet of cardboard. And that's done so that when you shoot that first course of fire, when you miss, you can get some binoculars and look at the sheet of cardboard and see where you're missing. And that way you can adjust your fire for subsequent hanging targets. So to hang your pigeons on a cardboard backer, you're going to have your pigeon, and you'll have these garbage bag ties. Now, younger folks may not recognize what these are, but in the old days, you had to have a separate little cinch tie to cinch up your garbage sack when you were taking it out to the garbage can. So that's what these are, and we use these to hang the pigeons. So all you do is you take the cinch and you run it back through itself like that. And then you'll run this through the clay pigeon. And your team will have to decide, do you want black side out or orange side out? And as long as they're all done the same way, doesn't matter. So we'll pull this through the pigeon, and then you'll take this, and the big sheet of cardboard will have a bunch of little holes in it, and you'll feed it through the hole in the cardboard, and then it'll just hang there on the cardboard like that. Just so you know, sometimes when you're drilling these, you'll crack the pigeon and not know it, and then you'll go to pull these twist ties through and you'll break the pigeon. It's not a big deal. You'll just go to the host team and say, I need some replacement targets from the hospital bin, and they'll get you some new pigeons. So that's how you prepare a target for the clay. That's how you prepare a clay pigeon for the cardboard backer. After your cardboard backer event, you're going to have hanging targets. So these are some of the kinds of hanging targets you're going to have. And the host team will supply you with wire with which to hang your targets. And the name of the game for all this, what you're trying to do, is you'll be hanging, wrap it around the upper beam of your target frame, and you want to maximize the amount of wire that you have left, so that target is hanging as far away from that wooden top beam as possible. Because the closer you get, the more likely it is that shooters are going to shoot the top frame by accident. And then that makes more work for the host teams to have to repair those target frames. So you want to make the maximum use of your piece of wire that you can. The second thing that you're looking to prevent is you don't want any wiggling of your targets. So to show you what that might look like, if you just have a single fulcrum point, the thing can wiggle on the wire, right? And so there's nothing worse than you get back to your shooting position and you're getting ready to shoot and a breeze comes up and this thing starts winking at you like a semaphore flag. And so you don't want that when you're doing this. And there's ways that you can hang these targets to prevent that. So we'll get started. I guess we started off with the piece of tile, so we'll just go with it. So you fish the wire through. I guess I'll come in from the back side. Fish the wire through, and then you go around like so, and you come around. So you're basically wrapping the wire around the top piece of the tile, like so. And by doing so, in order for this thing to twist, it has to torsion the wire itself, which is harder to do. So it's relatively rigidly constrained because it can't wiggle on the wire itself anymore. So that's the idea for a ceramic tile. And you'll see 4-inch tiles, 6-inch tiles, sometimes 12-inch tiles even. All right, so next we're going to do the clay pigeon. So for the clay pigeon, you're going to come through the clay pigeon, around your piece of wire, and back down into the clay pigeon. And if you press these down into the cavity, now again, this gets constrained. Okay, so it has to torsion the wire because this bearing against the back side of the pigeon like that, it doesn't want to wiggle on the wire itself. So that's how you wire up a clay pigeon. Okay. Tin cans, it's not so worrisome if they spin on the wire because the profile of the target doesn't change. So they're pretty simple. You just want to use as little wire as you can. And there you've wired up the tin can. And it doesn't really matter, again, if it can wiggle on the wire because, you know, from 50 to 50 yards away, the profile doesn't change. So it's okay if it spins a little. So that's the empty soda can. These are just bottles of drinking water. And most of the time the host team will have pre-filled these. You'll have a bucket of water and you'll put some kind of colorant in the water. This is just blue food coloring. But we've used latex paint. You know, you put some paint in the bucket of water, 5-gallon bucket of water, gets it all colored, and then you just dip all your bottles in there and fill them up. For demonstration purposes, I'm just going to do this one. So you can see that this becomes quite brilliant when it's full of a colorant. And we find blue food dye works really nice, especially in sunlight. And this is important because if you nick one of these and it just leaks out, if it's full of clear water, you can't tell it. Unless you happen to see the water dripping out of it, you can't really tell. But when these things are a brilliant, color like this and they drain out, then it's very obvious. If you see a clear bottle downrange, then it's obviously been hit and drained out. So it's good to have some kind of colorant. So to wire these up, same thing. We wrap around the neck. You want to minimize the amount of wire that you're using to maximize the distance away from that top frame. And sometimes having a multi-tool or a pair of pliers can be very handy because what you want to do is tighten this up so it's very tight around the neck. And again, it's not so important if they spin, because the profile doesn't really change no matter how it spins. So that's wiring up a water bottle. So those are some examples of targets that you're likely to encounter, at least in our region, the Deep South region. These are very typical targets that we use, and this is how you would go about wiring them up. So hopefully this will be useful for new shooters. If you've got other new folks in your organization that you think would benefit from a tutorial like this before they get to their first skirmish, please share this video with them. And if you think this kind of content is helpful, like and subscribe, and I'll be posting more videos geared towards new NSSA shooters in the future. So thanks a lot, and hope you enjoyed it. This video is sponsored by Fourth Armory, your source for templates for making historical paper cartridges.